Hey, welcome back. I have another video. In this one here, I'm going to be talking about Warhammer Alliance. Now, right off the bat, Warhammer Alliance is an awesome program. I'm going to get right into that. Spoiler, this thing's great. I've done this before at the school I work at, and I don't think it was called Warhammer Alliance, but it's the same thing, if it wasn't. And yeah, this thing's awesome. Like, I mean, it's a great program. And if you are a parent, your kid is interested in Warhammer, see if somebody at the school will do this. And if you work at a school yourself, see if you can get your principal to sign off on it. To be honest, all they have to do is just say, yes, this person works here. You can send him free stuff. So a few years ago, I signed up for this, and I had been running Warhammer clubs for like a decade, essentially, or close enough to it at that point, that I thought, hey, this is awesome. A little bit of help. Most of my kids that had been doing it had graduated, so this was going to allow us to get some new product in at, like, zero cost. It was the big thing. And even though didn't go super great, that was more just because I had a hard time getting the kids. I couldn't find enough kids to really make this work. Had 2 or 3 started coming, but they quickly sort of disappeared when nobody else was coming. And that wasn't the program, the Warhammer Alliance program's fault. That was just sometimes, I work in a small school, and finding people to play Warhammer, it is still a niche thing, and it just didn't work out that year. By the end of the year, I actually had some more interest in it, but after that, it was like COVID, basically. So, like, I did try to start it up the next year, but I had a kid born, and I just wasn't going to have a lot of a second kid born. I wasn't going to have a lot of free time. And I had said that once I'm back from, paternity, and I kind of get all that stuff figured out, we'd pick it up. We'd make it work somehow. And then COVID came. So, I mean, like, it just didn't happen because we couldn't do any activities with kids up until like a week and a half ago. Now that we're back again, everyone's sort of like, okay. I think that's the other thing too, is that this program was in a weird spot where it first came out. Its more modern version that they're trying to show off here, not too long before COVID, like within a year or two. So they would have had a lot of years where just too many schools in general would just say, no, you can't do that because you can't have gatherings. That maybe they sort of like chilled on it, because I haven't heard about this in a while, but I'm glad to see it back. So anyways, what is it? As a teacher, you just say, I want you to send me stuff for Warhammer. The principal or whoever is your supervisor signs off that, yep, this person works here. They're not, screwing around fucking with you to get free stuff. And they mail it to the school. It doesn't go to your house. That's the other thing. It's going to get mailed to the school. I got in a little bit of trouble, sort of, almost, when mine came in, because our mail guys are slow sometimes. And like the guys who pick up the mail, and they're supposed to sign out the mail before they can hand it off to us. And I knew it was there. And I knew it was there for a couple of days waiting. And I just kept going like, okay, like, tell me when it's ready. And eventually I just went up and took it. And like, they saw me. They're like, you can't take it. I was like, I'm taking it, guys. Like, I need this. And I got told not to do that. But I also told them that they should probably, not leave mail sitting there for days, and reminded them that they hadn't, I'd heard from our local mail guy they'd forgotten to pick up mail for like 2 weeks. So that, maybe I'm wrong, but I wasn't the only one that was wrong. That's just a little side story that has nothing really to do with this. But anyways, what I got in the box were a couple of the lower tier starter sets, 40k 8th edition and 2nd edition Age of Sigmar. We got paint sets, 2 of them, one for 40k and one for Age of Sigmar. We got books, we got tools, some extra stuff. I forget exactly what all was in there now, but it was a lot of stuff. And also a curriculum, which is really basic, but might even just Give me 1 second. I might even be able to see it here. I think I have it nearby. Yeah, so anyways, this was a super cool program that I just can't get over GW handing this stuff out. Yeah, so anyways, book 1, read first. You get this whole magazine from them, and it's filled with information of like what Warhammer is, but also it's how to run this whole thing. I'm going to get back to what I was saying before. I just want to read over this really quick. So getting started, they give you a checklist of things to do. So, welcome to the Warhammer School Club community. We understand how busy the life of a teacher can be, so we've created a helpful checklist that can help establish your Warhammer School Club. Read through the handbook. Decide on a time and date and all that for the club. Advertise the club. They actually did send flyers. I don't remember. Yeah, there's in the back here, there's stuff you can photocopy to use and post around the school. You can then start recruiting club members. As somebody who's done this before on my own without this, that literally is just as simple as just inviting kids to stay after school that you think might be interested, either because their friends are already doing it or because you know from talking to your students that they're into this stuff. They're little nerds and geeks that this is what they're into, or they're gamers in general, but like they'll break out a board game and just be happy, as happy as they are with a video game. So in general, you can kind of identify the kids pretty easy. When I say nerds, I'm not some derogatory thing. I'm a geeky nerdy guy myself, and most of us know that those people like us sort of stand out in some way, usually, at least when we're kids. It's sort of more obvious which kids are into that stuff, whether it's because you see them reading fantasy novels, or it's because they just straight up talk about this kind of stuff, like the kids who bring in their D&D stuff. Those are the kids you invite. And otherwise, you just put up the club information and see who else shows up. And you make some copies of the documents that you're going to distribute, because you got a club charter, you got club roles, you got responsibilities, health and safety, and a letter to parents, because you always have to make sure the parents know what's going on. This is going to be after school. Parents are going to need to sign off that their kids can stay. Games Workshop pretty much did their homework here. And the initial club session is where you're going to have a sign-up sheet. You're going to conduct the initial club session, familiarize members with the roles and responsibilities of the Warhammer Club leadership team. Elect and appoint the leadership team. This is only going to be if you have a ton of kids. We had like 2 kids. By the end of it, the height of it, I guess, we had 8 people total, including 2 teachers. And we already sort of did that. The teachers, we were the ones in charge, but we did give responsibilities to the older students. Ratify the Warhammer Club charter, establish club rules, review health and safety, distribute the parent letter, plan the first official club session, time, date, location. And then after that, it's getting into like what you have to do to basically get everything set up with the school that still needs to be done. The club structure, you have a coach, which is basically you, the teacher. And then there's a Lord Commander. That's the student that is going to be in charge. This is very much like a little like student government body. You got a club herald, who, as I recall, the club herald, they have it here. Oh yeah, the commander ensures that the club members are doing their jobs, because everybody has a job. If there's people arguing, this is like the DM. This is the master of ceremonies, sort of like this is the guy making the decisions of like how to handle the disputes. And they're also helping the teacher make sure everybody's enjoying their time. And basically, just in general, this person helps the teacher. Club Herald, you have that person that is reminding people to come and play. Don't forget, we're playing after school. We're at lunch. tells everybody if things are going to change, which means the teacher, whoever's in charge, tells them, hey, we can't do it today. I have a meeting. So we'll have to do it tomorrow or the day after. Let everybody know. We'll have a vote or something. Make announcements during. So basically, if you want everybody to know, this kid might be in charge of telling the others whatever it is you want them to know. And this person also is going to be a little bit more artistic because they're going to be in charge of putting up posters and flyers after the initial push is done, basically to try to keep bringing in new members. Then there's a lore master. This is going to be something you won't have right away. A lot of this stuff really originally is just going to be you, the teacher. But the lore master is ideally a kid who's going to be good with the rules and start helping other kids learn, coaching them, answering questions about the rules, and make sure everybody has an opponent. See, the thing about the way Games Workshop set this up is that the teacher is there. The teacher is ideally taking part, but it's not just on the teacher's shoulders. This way the teacher gets to go and be part of it as well. Early on when I was doing this, I was basically just teaching kids how to play constantly, meaning I really wasn't getting games in. That was fine. I was teaching kids how to play. I mean, this wasn't me setting up a club for me to get games. I was setting up a club to run an activity at the school. So this was something that, I was okay with. But eventually there were kids there that, they've been playing for 2-3 years. We started playing during 5th edition, 40K, it would have been. And, yeah. We weren't playing fantasy. Fantasy was just too expensive to get the kids into. We tried a few games here and there, but they just couldn't afford the armies back in 8th edition. That's all it was. Sort of the story that you always hear about 8th edition. They just cost too much. But 40K wasn't too bad. It was expensive, but kids were getting into it. Then you got a lore master. Also, helping, basically just another lore. Sorry, there's 2 lore masters, I guess is what this comes down to. I just realized there's 2 of them. Then you got a master artificer. This is the person who's the best painter, is going to start showing the other students how to paint and helping people improve. And this might not be you at the end of the day. I have definitely seen people come into the hobby and really quickly grasp the painting because they're artistically inclined. And if you have a young person in this club that's artistically inclined, this is perfect for them. They might not even like to play. That's the thing, is that if this kid wants to be there and just paint, give them something to paint. They're going to have fun. They're going to get good at it. And then when it's time to paint other stuff and people are helping, this person can be like, oh yeah, I learned how to do this, and they showed me how to do this dry brushing, and this is how you do it. And they also take care of the supplies like the paints and tools. The paints. Because you also have a master architect who's in charge of building and teaching people how to build. That one there was probably going to be the same person, but not necessarily. Depending how young they are, master architect probably is going to be you. I'll be blunt, I'm not going to give even a 12 or 13-year-old just clippers and super glue until I'm really confident and certain that I can trust them with it, because the last thing you want is a kid that gets super glue on their hand and then starts rubbing their eyes. You gotta just, common sense. They're kids, and if they're not used to this stuff, just assume that they're going to do something frankly kind of dumb. I mean, they don't know any better. I've seen adults do this shit, so I'm not going to put a kid at risk. Then there's a coaching form. There's a school club progress report. And this one here, I mean, it's kind of a little funny that they include these things. Like, the coaching thing is just to show off that this kid in some way is being helped and improving. And it doesn't have to be about Warhammer. It could be really just like anything. Attendance, punctuality, behavior, social skills, anything. Then you get the progress report is like basically how they're doing in their grades. Basically, this is not just for like whatever. This is supposed to be like a reward for doing well. This is a way to motivate kids. Now, this isn't going to motivate every kid, but this is going to motivate some kids because kids want fun stuff to do at school. And Warhammer is such a unique experience at a school, I would think, that a lot of kids would not want to risk losing it. I'm not saying that I would ever kick a kid out because they were failing a class. I had colleagues that would try to demand that I not let such and such a kid stay after school because they hadn't behaved in class. And, you know, if they said, like, you know, the kid told me to fuck off. All right, well, you know, then maybe the kid should go home anyways, but why are you talking to me? You should be talking to the principal. But if it was just like basic stuff of like, yeah, the kid wasn't focused today, I'd be like, oh, yeah, well, I'll talk to them while we're here. You know, you don't get to dictate who comes and goes to my program. If you want to do that, you can run your own. And these people were the ones who never ran jack shit with the kids. So, you know, I'm not going to send a kid home because when that kid didn't agree today about what they should be doing, I'll talk to them and find out what's going on, because that's part of what I was doing. Was it's an outreach program. When you're doing stuff with kids, always doesn't matter what you're doing, it's an outreach program. So knowing that you can talk to them and them knowing that you will talk to them and it's going to be fair goes a long way. Then there's a charter, there's rules. This kind of stuff is really basic. I'm not going to go through it all. Health and safety is like basically treating everything with respect in a way that nobody's going to get injured. Like, you know, not leaving the paints and stuff out, not leaving the tools out. The tools are sharp, some of them. You know, you don't leave that out. You know, not goofing around with the paints and the glues and all that. And making sure people of the right age are doing stuff. You got your letter to the parents. And then it's got all kinds of, after that, it's like advertisements of things to buy. That will basically expand what you started with. Like, we got, like I said, the is it here? I think it was Tempest of Souls and No Fear. But looking at the thing here, I'm positive that's what they sent us. It wasn't the Soul Wars. It was like Tempest of Souls and then No Fear. It was really good stuff. Then there's like, you know, a guide to collecting miniatures and building and painting and playing games. There's a funny picture over here because I don't know when they made this, but they seem to have forgotten that they had destroyed the old world, because there's an educational benefit and it says reading. And it shows some different books. This one's funny to me. This has always been funny to me. I have the Dwarf Codex from 8th edition, or a Dwarf Army book. Just, I laugh because, like, on the page before, it's Age of Sigmar. Clearly, the old world is dead. And for some reason, somebody put a Warhammer Fantasy book there, which you can't buy that at the store. You won't find that at the stores. You won't find that on the website. Who put that in? Was this just, how kind of oversight is that? I have a hard time believing that was an accident and that nobody saw that. Because it wasn't a game that existed to buy. And then, yeah, it gets into mathematics, art, social interactions. It's a really nice book. That was just book one. There is a second book. I don't see it on my shelf, but it actually had some like lesson plans, and they were really basic, but it's still pretty cool. So, yeah, I kind of covered a lot of what's in here, to be honest, and I thought that was a little bit more fun to go through than just what's on this page. But yeah, this new box they're showing here, I got nothing like that. I got a cardboard box with product in it. The starter magazines, the starter sets, the paint sets, the couple of extra units, and tools and stuff. This here is a lot more focused. Now, the downside to this is, I do have to say, if this is what they're sending, it is a lot less um, than what I got, because I got a ridiculous amount of product. When I think about it, there was like novels. They weren't full novels. I don't see them again on my bookshelf. They're nearby, but they were like, one was like, there were two omnibuses of like short stories for 40K and Age of Sigmar. They were super cool. You get a lot more brushes. You get less paints. We got 2 sets of paints last time. They were like 6 or whatever it is, 8 paints you get each. But still, I mean, like, this is a great amount of stuff. You can definitely start playing with this. And what's more, important here to learn is that if you go to your local store, they will help you. Now, every store is going to be different, it says, every region, but they'll give you more stuff. It always includes more miniatures. So that's the thing, is that I say there's less stuff in here, but there's more to get if you go to the stores. Now, there's no store near me, but I could technically drive a few hours and, go to a store. I mean, it's more than a few hours, but it's pretty cool. Now, I don't know if the local store is only a GW or a friendly local game stores count. I think it'd be super cool if friendly local game stores were included in this part here. If they were able to basically say to GW, hey, a teacher came in, this is their like Warhammer Alliance ID code. I don't know if they do that, but basically they said, hey, can we get some stuff? Can you send it to us and we'll make sure they get it? That would be awesome. But it's probably just GW stores. And then there's some other stuff. I know that they used to say, the last time I did this, they were talking about there was like the school league, which is what it's always been called in my mind, like going back a couple of decades. But that was more just in the UK. They were doing that because in the plan was that all the schools would be able to get their kids sent to basically like tournaments, and the goal was to have like finals or something at like Warhammer World. Pretty cool either way. But yeah, this video is way too long. I like teaching. I like working with kids and teaching Warhammer, playing Warhammer with the kids. Some of the best memories I have in my job, because it was a way to interact with kids at the school. It was still school, but it wasn't school. And I just built a relationship with those kids that otherwise I don't think I ever could have. So yeah, this is really cool. I think this is something everybody should be looking at for their school, whether they work there or their kids go to one, because getting our kids into Warhammer is something I think most of us as players want to do. I just bought my kid his first box, my oldest boy, a box of skinks, because he loves lizards, he loves dinosaurs. He's 7 or just about 7, and I'm gonna be priming those for him today. And he's gonna get to paint them, and he's gonna have a fun time. And so, passing that on is it's awesome. But being able to pass this on to kids at a school, you never know which of those kids doesn't have a great home life, and the escape from that, to get to stay at school a little bit longer and just have fun and be a kid, you don't know what you're maybe offering them. So I think that's something to keep in mind if you have the opportunity to do stuff like this, whether it's at your school that you work at, or even if you just do it at your local game store, mentoring new players, helping them learn how to play, how to paint. You could be doing a huge thing for a kid that it doesn't seem like it's a lot, but you don't know what you're offering until you yourself have been in a position where you really wish somebody could have been there to offer that to you. But anyways, this is way too long. If you have listened to this, I do appreciate that. If you'd like to put a like on the video, that'd be cool, or subscribe. And if you have any thoughts on this, like if you've been part of a school league, tell me down below. But yeah, have yourselves a great day, and thank you for watching.